So I'd like to welcome all the panelists onto the stage, please.
What we are missing?
No, I'll be standing here. Thank you. This is more comfortable for me. Thank you. I think we have one more panelist, Mr. Kwan. He's missing. Okay, so we don't have two panelists present today. So I guess we have to do the part of the heavy lifting. So in interest of time and with due respect to 34 other speakers who are there, I was just going through the agenda. I saw there are 34 other speakers, who are to actually give their valuable inputs. And even if they take 10 minutes each, you would require at least, I think, 5.5 hours to complete this. So I think it's better that, we help out Ray Consulting in cutting that by half, because I saw his deadline is to complete this event by 3:30 or 4. So we would be trying to keep this as quick as possible, because the subject which has been shared today for discussion, that is global agri-input trade, India's role in emerging supply chain, I think Ms. Komal already captured a lot of that in her discussion as well. So I don't think there is much of an enlightenment which we would be contributing to this, but still we'll do our bit in this. So first of all, thank you very much to Ray Consulting for inviting us for this event, and welcome to the distinguished panelists who are there with me. Regarding the topic, I think we are meeting at a critical juncture, for global agriculture, where we are seeing consistent supply chain disruptions, geopolitical shifts, and climate volatilities, which have forced nations and conglomerates to fundamentally rethink their food security architecture. And standing right at the center of all this transition is India. So traditionally, we have always been viewed as a powerhouse of agricultural production, and India is rapidly cementing its reputation as a dependable powerhouse of global agri-inputs. India's agri-inputs industry, which covers the seeds, fertilizers, pesticides, farm machinery, biologicals, etc., is at the intersection of a massive rural population and rising farm income and a government push towards modern agriculture. With over 45% of our workforce engaged in agriculture and the sector contributing close to 18% to our GDP. The demand for quality agriculture inputs is not just growing, it's accelerating. Yesterday, when I was when I was listening to the CEOs forum, which was going on in the morning yesterday, one of the panelists spoke about how India has moved away from food shortage or famine to a food excess kind of a situation. There was some discussion on that, and agri input companies are now focusing on more innovation, precision ag, etc. However, questions still remain as to how can India transform from a volume supplier to a value-driven innovation hub. How do we navigate tightening regulatory standards, global compliance frameworks, and environmental pressures? So to decode this, we have an exceptional, at least we have two of the panelist members present today. Unfortunately, two other members couldn't join us. So I'll straight away come to the questions. I think I had leaked the questions to you beforehand so that we can be quick on this. So let me put my question first to a next generation leader. I think she comes from a very old business family which has got a legacy, and I'm sure that's something which is heavy on your shoulders. So Kalyani, you belong to a family which has built a legacy business. Apart from the key business verticals starting from coffee curing or to wellness products. By late 1980s, you guys were the pioneers in bioproducts, organic fertilizers, growth regulators, biological pest controls, etc. And you're marketing these through Stain's vast rural network and continuously engaging, with farmers and supporting the community development. I see that you also have a large international presence. And as a next generation business leader, my question to you would be, from the perspective of an Indian company with a strong international business focus, how are customers and markets outside India changing their expectations from the Indian agri input companies? And how much importance is being given to innovation, which you try to bring in? Or is it just that they are looking only for just competitive pricing and reliable supply?
Okay, thank you so much for your kind introduction and your question. I'd like to thank Ray Consulting for this opportunity as well. As you rightly said, I think we've been quite the torchbearers or the people who introduced a lot of the molecules and did a lot of research ahead of the curve. So it gives me great pleasure to be here today at this juncture where everyone is talking about biologicals. It's become more mainstream and very well accepted. Over the years, I think the key challenge was farmer education and just education in general. So we kind of conquered that, and today we're here. Uh, Saying which, actually, we're very fortunate because we started our international business almost 23 years ago. And I would say that conversation has definitely changed from what is the price to what is the value the product is going to give us. So it is really, we're at the right place now where when customers from when global customers approach us, it's not just because we are good at supplying generics. It's because we have also over the years done extensive research and development and offered products which are very competitive and competent in the global markets. With the current war like situations, there's a lot of like disruptions in the supply chain, as you mentioned earlier. So India actually is very strategically positioned in such a way that today many companies are looking at a China plus one strategy where we can really leverage ourselves. And over the years, we've also, as a country, equipped ourselves with infrastructure, with like technological developments. So from a perspective of a company that's been operating in this space for 23 years, I would say that we've also developed so much data and developed like a skilled workforce to cater to all the needs of the global suppliers so that we will still remain relevant in the years to come. But also, I think we're just at the beginning of our journey as a country, and also as a company. I feel like we're just now going to reap the benefits of the seeds that we sowed like 23 years ago.
So India, as you know, has significant opportunities in the emerging markets. Like across Asia, Africa, Latin America, etc. So from a tea stains perspective, where do you see the most attractive opportunities for the Indian agri input companies over the next 5 years? And what should the Indian companies do differently to build sustainable brands in the export markets?
Yeah. So currently, as Tea Stains and Company, we 50% of our international operations come from Asia, Africa, and Latin America. So these three regions actually present differentiated opportunities for us. The Asian markets, we cater to specialty nutrients and a few biologicals. The African markets have definitely moved away from just affordable priced products to more like specialized technology driven molecules and they're very interested in a holistic solution, so that's a definite opportunity there. And Latin America, because it's got so many cash crops. All the high value biostimulants and biopesticides present as an opportunity for us in these markets. Well, on how to sustain and how to ensure that these partnerships last, like we have a three-pronged approach at Tea Stains. Because we are the manufacturers and the developers of these products, we also hold the data. So the one comfort that most of our partners get from us is that we share the data, we help them with regulatory support. The second thing is market introduction. Once we enter a market, we support them with marketing activities, field trials, evaluations, and just seeing is believing. So we give that customer support from here. And thanks to COVID, I think also because of all the teams and the Microsoft, we're able to reach and we're able to be there a lot more timely for them. And finally, I think before we launch or we do anything, it's always good to plan the supply chain and to plan the infrastructure. So I think once they see all these three like support that's already been given, it's very easy to sustain so that there won't be any break in the supply, there won't be any issues that they cannot, convey, and we're there with the regulatory team to get, first of all, even launch the products. So I would say these are the few things that we do.
Thank you, Kalyani. I
Yeah.
think uh, you being the next torchbearer of the family in the agri input business for tea stains. I think uh, the growth trajectory, what you have already outlined, seems to be pretty clear, and all the very best to you. Let me move on to Mr. Debabrata Sarkar, the CMD of Microalgae Solutions and Director at Agma Energy. Mr. Sarkar, Alga Energy leverages the microalgae science to advance the sustainable farming, and it help enhance crop nutrition. You help in improving the soil health and strengthening the agricultural resilience and provide locally tailored approaches. Uh, with unpredictable weather patterns and persistent economic pressures, the Indian agriculture operates under conditions that challenges the viability of traditionally sustainable models. So, Alga Energy, being a global biotechnology company and a leader in the development of innovative microalgae based solutions, my first question to you would be, how do you see India's competitive positioning evolving? uh, are Indian companies still competing primarily on cost and manufacturing efficiency? or are they increasingly competing on technology, product differentiation, regulatory strength, and global market access?
Hello. Hello.
Yeah,
Hello.
yeah.
So I think thanks for the question. And already supply chain under pressure
We saw
looks
that.
like. So, so I'll try to address because yeah, algae energy has been in the forefront for in this sustainable agriculture in the last few years, I would say, because I think I remember it's all started at least in this part of the globe uh, in September 2018, pretty young. But having said that, I think as I look at this market, because for the past 27 years, 28 years, I'm being closely associated initially with. Good thing is that I started with agrochemicals and then seeds and then biologicals and nutrition. So having a landscape view that how things are evolving. Yeah, there has been a see-through change, and she was rightly pointing it out. It's no more about supply chain. It's no more about having the only the scale of production. So people are looking not at product; they are looking at product plus, which is far beyond product. What else you can provide in that form, and that's also closely linked with the global regulatory, the kind of product. Even because initially when we started with microalgae, we were also not sure that how that product can be bring it in the form of phytoplankton, or is just like any other seaweed. We should communicate because that's pretty early. So yeah, so I think this landscape is changing very fast. It is more data oriented, innovation oriented. It is no more a product proposition. Secondly, I'm very clear that globally, because of this geopolitical situation, local innovation would always be the key. It's not necessary. And then microbial and other biological product transferring from one country to another country would always be a challenge. So people will have keep on mobilizing with different technology, be it peptide based, be it secondary metabolite based. So those innovation will play a very important role, and of course that will be aligned with combination of products, bringing more data points into the picture, which will be much more aligned with the global regulatory framework, so that from global perspective it will be not only a product, it will also come up with a package of things, as she was like pointing it out, that we are the innovator, we are the developer, then we also developed data pack, and we are also manufacturer. So when somebody is looking at this kind of organization from a supply perspective, so they will always look at it's a full stop solution for me. So they're providing everything. If I take one product as a solution, so it is coming up with many other stuff as an added advantage, which will be a much more stronger point when you'll become a supply player for a global market. So I think that's pretty important, and it's evolving fast. I would not say that we created enough infrastructure, because I don't see. Still, I think a bigger challenge is how to we created a regulatory framework here. We are doing many things, but I'm still not fully convinced that we have the infrastructure, that the regulatory framework we have created to get an endorsement internally with
So I
those
think I
products.
think if you have to basically put out two or three capabilities, like what you were just starting that, and if you have to capture what are those capabilities that the India agri input companies must build today if they want to be a strategic partner, and not just an alternative supplier, in the global agri input supply chain. What are those two or three critical points which you would like to put forward?
No, so first thing is definitely creating a more robust R&D support, and it's not about the scale of operation and supplying it at the cheapest price point. because as I understand that global market is not only looking at pricing as a major criteria to take decisions, they are also looking at the number of steady variables, and that is one of the reason that I see India is highly in a stronger position compared to, I will not say that tomorrow, especially with agrochemicals, I don't see an immediate opportunity, but definitely with biologicals and many other microbial products, or maybe with other innovations, we can be a strong contender, or for fighting out the China plus
One strategy.
market
Yeah.
there. We are very strongly positioned there. So R&D, investing more and more in that full stop solution. Companies needs to focus on that. They or maybe one company cannot do everything. Has to be more collaborative approach. Maybe the R&D and the production, and then that is being operated by three different companies. But what is the harm in aggregating all three and combining their strength and make a one-stop solution for the global market? There has to be something which has to come beyond what we are thinking and how the traditional method was. And in this, in the present scenario, I don't see everybody has every solution. So needs to have more collaborative approach. Needs to have is no more knowledge is the key, execution is the key. So people need to have more collaboration and having their working on their each other's strength and creating something far bigger and better, which will position ourselves in a much stronger manner in the global market.
Thank you, Mr. Devabrata. So, in the interest of time, and also, unfortunately, we don't have two other panelists, for whom we had some other questions, especially Mr. Kwan. I wanted to know his viewpoint on the China Plus One strategy. Always, it's spoken about, and China being a major agrochemical hub. How does he look at India? From a complementing partner. So. Unfortunately, we are not in a position to debate these things, but a few things, which from my perspective, that we are into agrochemicals, pesticides purely. So I have been put into a panel which is completely biological in nature, and it's completely, I'm on the opposite side of things. So some of the points which we often at Agros we think that uh, if I had to synthesize things on this particular topic, first one would be that we 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 have a resilience through diversification. So the global supply chain was always from it has shifted permanently from just in time to just in case. That is something which we are seeing nowadays, and the robust manufacturing base positions. India has become a indispensable hub today, and for global sourcing and reducing over concentration risks. There is a green transition which everybody is today talking about. So the innovation and the green transition is second point, which most of the companies today worldwide, especially multinationals, are talking about. So which means that, like what he mentioned, the scale alone will not suffice. So the future belongs to sustainable inputs and biopesticides, nanonutrients, precision application technologies, etc. And third one, if I take some cue from discussions today and the panel discussions which happened yesterday, is about the policy and digital integration. So that was a third aspect which we could gather from yesterday's CEO discussions and today's discussions as well, that streamlining the regulatory frameworks and combining that with tech-driven supply chain and having that complete transparency will be the ultimate differentiator going forward, is what I feel. Because that is how our Indian innovations can reach the global farm gates faster. So with this, I would like to end the discussion for today. And like I said, in due respect of time, and thanks to all the two of my panelists. So I think we have done somewhat justice to this particular topic, in spite of the supply chain issues, as you can see. But let's hope things are better next time. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thanks for the time.
Please be present with us on the dais. Raj sir, if he's present. No, sir. That if I can request sir to come here and felicitate, honor our fellow panelists. Yes, sir. All of you are important and a delegate member of IIAB. Let's have a huge round of applause. Let's bring the memento. Industry experts being felicitated by sir. Let's have a group picture together. Oh, lovely. We can still cheer up, everyone. Up next, let's give it up for Debrata Sarkar, CMD Microalgae Solutions Director, AGMA Energy. Congratulations. Ms. Kalyani Narayana, Vice President International Business and Strategy, Tea Stains and Company Limited. And last but not the least, Gopi, President Sales and Strategy, Tagros Chemicals India. Let's give it up for our fellow panelists here on the ground of IIAB 2026. This is such a momentous moment. Listening to all of you, your expertise, your leadership, and all of your detailing on the agricultural business and conference. It has been such a momentous moment. Thank you so much, everyone.